welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with another pregnancy video. So I will be doing the second trimester recap. And if you haven't watched my first trimester recap, I will link it below. That way you can watch it if you're interested in seeing that before this or maybe after this, so that you can kind of see like how things have been progressing during the pregnancy. So I'm going to first start off by talking about the different symptoms that I've experienced during this pregnancy, as well as share some tips and answer some questions that you asked me on Instagram. So one of the first symptoms that I noticed with the second trimester, like literally when the second trimester hit, was I started throwing up. And I only threw up like 2 to 3 times, so it wasn't like a lot, it wasn't like all day or anything like that. It was literally only 2 to 3 times during the entire second trimester. And if you watch my first trimester recap video, you will know that I never actually threw up. I was just constantly nauseous, I had no energy and no appetite. But it was just kind of ironic how I ended up throwing up right at the beginning of the second trimester. That was very short-lived, it went away. But I will say is that I did experience relief after throwing up, because when you're nauseous, it's like it just doesn't go away, it lasts like all day. But when you throw up, you do get some sort of relief after you throw up. You feel like a lot better. Another thing that I noticed was that I had so much more energy. Obviously, everything with the, at least for me, with the progression of my pregnancy, everything slowly, you know, changes. So it's not like one day I woke up and I woke up with a ton of energy. It was just like it slowly got to that. So I started noticing little by little that I was gaining more energy. I was actually able to get through the whole day without napping. And before, it was super duper hard to not like feel sleepy or not take at least like a 10-minute nap. So I noticed that in the second trimester, I was still a little bit tired at the beginning, but I was able to get through the entire day without napping. So that was pretty cool. And then as the second trimester progressed, I just had so much more energy, and I kind of didn't have that whole fatigue, sleepiness that I experience normally throughout the day. So I definitely noticed so much more energy. And just like they say, the second trimester is the best trimester. And I will say that yes, it is. It was a lot easier. And now I'm in the third trimester, so things are a little bit more difficult now with the bigger belly. And of course, all that extra energy, I also started having a bigger appetite. So I was able to finally start eating foods, and not everything was grossing me out anymore. And I was just eating so much more. So that felt so nice. That also leads to weight gain. So I didn't gain any weight throughout the first trimester at all, which is pretty normal for me and for many pregnant women. So second trimester, I started noticing a lot more weight gain by the end. Especially, I feel like my body made up for the weight that I didn't gain in the first trimester, and that's pretty normal for me. Another thing is out of breath. And I'm trying to mindfully slow down right now because I feel like I'm speaking so fast and I'm losing my breath. I'm literally like walking up the stairs, I was like huffing and puffing, like I had to like get myself to chill out and relax and not get dizzy, because my heart would pump really fast. And even if I'm not moving, just talking, you know, it makes it harder to breathe. So I think being out of breath is something that a lot of women experience in the second trimester. I think the reason why that happens is because there's just so much blood pumping to the baby, so much oxygen. Your body's working to take care of another being. And so all that extra blood and everything, it just makes everything kind of like pump faster. And all the extra weight obviously will cause you to get tired easier when it comes to like simple activities. The good thing about pregnancy is that it slowly progresses. It's not like you wake up one day with a big belly and a baby in there. It slowly gets there, so it kind of builds you up in a way. But just listen to your body, take breaks when you need to, and drink a lot of water, as I always say. So definitely staying hydrated will help with this out of breathness and dizziness and, you know, fast heart rate, because, you know, you don't want to be dehydrated. You want to stay very hydrated. After I get through these symptoms, I'm going to share more of the must-haves. And since I mentioned water, drinking water, I recommend a cup, a reusable cup. And I always like to stick to glass because drinking through plastic is just not the healthiest. So I recommend a glass cup. I bought this one at Target. But there's a lot of these like on Amazon that you can find. I'll link some down below. I'll link this one as well. But yeah, this is a glass cup and it holds a pretty good amount. It comes with a plastic straw, but I have glass straw, so I have a glass straw in here, and this totally helps me, especially at bedtime. I easily drink water because it's through a straw. I don't really have to like, you know, sit up all the way and open the bottle. I can just literally grab it and sip it because of the straw. So this definitely helps, and I take it everywhere with me. I never really give it a break, so I have to constantly wash it. Another thing that I experienced in the second trimester is gum bleeding and nosebleeds. I already knew that gum bleeding was very common during pregnancy, and I had already heard of it. Plus it occurred during my first 2 pregnancies. I had gum bleeding, and it was so frustrating because I noticed that the gum bleeding started in the second trimester with all my pregnancies, and it was always around the time that I was beginning to eat more, which was a bummer because my appetite is finally back and I can eat foods now, but then I can't always really enjoy the food now because I'm having gum bleeding, and when I chew food, they're just so sensitive and like my gums will start bleeding. So my first pregnancy, I think the gum bleeding was the worst. Second was like, not as bad as the first. Luckily with this pregnancy, the gum bleeding has pretty much gone away. I don't experience that anymore at all. I think I only experienced it at the beginning of the second trimester. And then I didn't know about nosebleeds because I didn't really experience any nosebleeds in my previous pregnancies, but my nose was dry, and I noticed I continuously had like a nosebleed every day. And I spoke with my midwife about it, and she explained to me that that's also a common thing that happens with women during pregnancy, and it just has something to do with like the vessels and the blood flow, and it's kind of like more sensitive. That's also improved with me. My midwife also said that it's also common to feel like your nose is stuffed even though there's really no like boogers or anything in there. Let me know if you've experienced any gum bleeding or nosebleeds during your pregnancies, or if you're currently experiencing that if you're pregnant, because I don't really hear much about this, but I have for sure experienced it. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you have gone through any of this. Another thing is in the second trimester, I began feeling the baby move. I think it started around 17 to 18 weeks. And I think it's normally begins around like 15 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 15 to 16 weeks. And it obviously depends on how many pregnancies you've had, because you can kind of already sense what it's gonna feel like. I was beginning to feel like kind of worried because I was like, this is my 3rd pregnancy and I'm not feeling the baby yet. Like I think it was like around 15 weeks. I was already like, why am I not feeling the baby? Like I would have expected to start to have started feeling the baby already because, you know, it's my 3rd pregnancy. But yeah, it didn't start till like 17 to 18 weeks. I also learned that I have an anterior placenta. I think it's anterior, which means that it's like in the front of my uterus. So you can have it in different positions, but mine was in the front. And from what I read, when you have an anterior placenta, it can be a little bit more tricky to feel the baby because, you know, you have like that layer of the placenta in front of the baby, so it may take longer to feel those movements. So that can explain why, but I also don't know where my placenta was positioned in the previous 2 pregnancies. I just don't remember, and I don't ever remember really paying attention to that either back then. But once I found out that I had an anterior placenta, I was like, okay, well that makes sense. Like that's probably why I felt the baby moving a little bit later, which 17 to 18 weeks, I don't think it's late, but I just was expecting it sooner just because it was my 3rd pregnancy. And now that I'm in my 3rd trimester, the movements are crazy. They can almost be painful sometimes, but we'll save that for the 3rd trimester recap video. Another thing that I noticed was my hair. I don't know if it just suddenly grew, but I felt like my hair looked healthier and looked shinier. Also, I noticed my skin looked better in the 2nd trimester, and I think that has to do also with the pregnancy and the fact that I was eating more. I had more energy. I just felt more alive, more awake, and I was feeding my body more healthier and balanced foods because I was able to like actually eat. Another thing I noticed was I started having some back pain, and it wasn't like contraction or Braxton Hicks contraction pains or anything like that. It was just from the weight, the extra weight, and then certain positions that I would sit in or lay in weren't the best. Very often when I would wake up in the morning, my back hurt so bad. It was so hard to get out of bed. And it wasn't that I was even that big, because you would expect, I feel like you would expect that more during the 3rd trimester. but I was experiencing this in the second trimester, and it was just very, very painful and not fun. And I don't remember that happening when I was in my previous pregnancies. So I was also wondering, like, is it because I'm older now that I'm just like old, and my body isn't as, you know, strong as it was when I was younger. So I talked to my midwife about that as well, and she said it could be that, but it could also have to do with all the whole moving that I've been doing, because we just moved to North Carolina from Italy. So there's a lot of unpacking, a lot of walking, a lot of shopping, a lot of just, you know, settling in. It probably had a lot to do with that, and the fact that I was sleeping on a blow-up bed. That didn't help at all. However, when I did receive my regular bed, I still did also notice it. It didn't completely go away, but it improved. So I definitely recommend a pregnancy pillow if you are having trouble sleeping. And also, I think walking and moving more helps, because, you know, you're stretching your body, you're moving your body, and it's not so stiff, and you're also relaxing your body, and you're not constantly sitting. So definitely standing up, moving around, taking walks, stretching, yoga really helps. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, I recommend you do if you want more tips on pregnancy and things, because I like to share a lot there as well when it comes to like things that I do, like morning routines or like exercises that are good. So I share things here and there, here on YouTube and there on Instagram. Another thing that many people are curious about during pregnancy is sex drive, or just sex in general, and how that works. I actually didn't talk about this in my first trimester recap video, but during the first trimester, you know, it's pretty like obvious that women may not want to do any of that because they're feeling so sick and low energy. However, I will say that I still enjoyed it because I released all the stress and the tension, and the release of endorphins definitely helped me feel better. So although it wasn't something that I was like thinking about, like I still enjoyed it, and I didn't resist you know, my husband or anything, because I did feel like it helped me a lot. So during the second trimester, it's very common to hear that your sex drive goes up because, you know, all the energy, you're feeling better. So I will agree that yes, it does. So that was nice because, you know, I'm still not like, you're still not so big, but yet you're not like feeling nauseous and sick anymore. But I will say that towards the end of the second trimester, I was not as crazy about it as I was towards the beginning and middle, just because, you know, you're bigger, you're more tired, and it's harder to do it. You obviously have to get more, you know, creative or find other ways of doing it that makes you feel more comfortable. And another thing that I would like to add is that luckily my husband sees my pregnancy body as very beautiful and something that he's proud of as well. I think that definitely helps as well. It makes me feel like I'm still attractive to him. Towards the end of my second trimester, when I started getting bigger, I kind of started feeling like not myself anymore because my body is just so different. But it helps when your husband, you know, appreciates your body, sees it as very beautiful, and doesn't really get grossed out or bothered by the fact that there's a baby there. So now I'm going to get into the must-haves. I'm going to name a few, but like I said, follow me on Instagram because I will be sharing more like mood boards and like the things that I like to buy that help me during, you know, every stage of pregnancy or motherhood and all. I have this little mood board here of the must-haves that I'm going to share with you today. And I already mentioned a reusable glass water bottle that you can make sure to help you keep you hydrated. There's also another one that I haven't purchased, but I really want to get one. It's this one right here. Can't remember the brand for some reason, even though it's a big brand. So that one's a good one because that one holds so much more water, and I really like the styles and the look of this one too. So I definitely want to have that one on hand too, you know, especially if we're doing like long car rides or if we're gonna go like on a beach day or beach trip or something like that. Another must have is a pajama dress like this one. I bought this one at Target, and it's just super duper soft and stretchy, and this is a size small, and it's not maternity, it's just regular because I don't, wait, it's inside out. Sorry, it's inside out. Let me turn it on. Here it is. kind of looks the same. But yeah, it's buttoned all the way down. It's long sleeve. Although it's getting warmer in my part of the world, it still doesn't feel like it's too heavy, even though it's long sleeve. And the sleeves are so soft, and you can pull them up and they will get stuck, but they won't like hurt you. So like it's nice to like be able to keep your sleeve up. I do not like to buy many maternity clothes because I just want to be able to buy clothes that I'm still going to be able to wear like postpartum and after that. Another must-have that I wore like all the time, or I guess I didn't bring them with me. I have these leggings, but these are not the ones. These are like my pre-pregnancy leggings. But another thing that I don't have with me, I thought I did, are pregnancy leggings. I have like about 3 of these, and I bought these at Target as well. And I highly recommend them. Like it's just something that I wore like practically every single day in the second trimester, because it's comfy and you know your body's changing and it kind of grows with you. So I always wear a size small in these pregnancy leggings. Like I said, I own 3 different ones, so I constantly just wash and recycle and reuse so that I can, you know, be able to wear them all the time. But now that it's getting a little bit warmer, I also recommend just having a pair of pregnancy shorts. I have these right here, and it's kind of hard to tell, but like I said, I'll link everything below so you can get a closer look at everything. Another thing that I used all the time during my second trimester especially was these white Adidas sneakers. And I will try to link these that I have or something similar. I use them like every day. And the reason why I love them is because they're white shoes, first of all, so they can match with everything, with your leggings. You can wear them with shorts. So I love that it's like very versatile and they're comfy, and you want to make sure to, you know, support your feet, support your growing body. So I definitely recommend some sneakers. And then I already mentioned also the pregnancy pillow. If you don't have one, you can use like pillows and try to see how that works for you. I did that. And if it doesn't, I definitely recommend you invest in a pregnancy pillow, because it will help you with your sleep. Especially if you're having a lot of trouble sleeping, it's important that you rest and get your sleep so that you can feel better, and you know, you and baby could just be overall better and healthier. So those are all the must-haves that I have for today. Like everything will be linked below or something similar. And now we're getting to the Q&A part. So when I asked you guys on Instagram what questions you might have for me with this upcoming second trimester recap video, there's a lot of questions that I received that were really, really good questions, and they had a lot to do with like newborn essentials or breastfeeding tips or labor and delivery. I definitely really want to address those, so I'm going to make a separate video for that, because at this video I kind of want to focus more on just the second trimester and things that more relate to like the pregnancy part opposed to like, you know, the breastfeeding and the newborn part, because I think that deserves a whole video within itself, because there's so much information that can go onto that. So I definitely want to have a separate video for that. So just keep on the lookout for that, because I will answer those questions. But I still have some questions that relate to pregnancy and second trimester, so I'm going to address those right now. So one of the questions I received was, are you scared of labor? And I will say that no, I am not scared of it. I'm actually, at this point, I'm actually very super excited. Like I can't wait, and I just think about like the moment and the day that it's gonna happen, and I'm just very, very, very excited about it. Of course, I'm not saying that it's easy and that it's a piece of cake for me, but I mean, it's something that I know I'm gonna have to go through, and I'm just very excited for that process to, you know, bring my baby into this world and meet my baby. So another question that I received is, what do I most look forward to for after pregnancy? And I think one of the things that I look forward to, besides meeting my baby, is sleep. I know that there's not a lot of sleeping going on with a newborn, but I think that when I do sleep, I will sleep better, just because I won't have like a huge belly anymore. I mean, obviously your body takes a lot of time, can take a lot of time to recover and go back to normal. But at least I can like sleep in any position that I want. I can lay on my stomach again, because I love laying on my stomach and on my back sometimes. Right now, changing positions from one side to the other side takes so much effort and it's painful. So I think sleeping is something that I'm looking forward to for after this pregnancy. And then the other thing that I look forward to for after pregnancy is clothes. Like I feel like I'm so limited right now, so I try my best to like, you know, buy things that I can still use for after pregnancy. But yeah, I do feel a little bit limited because I can only wear like dresses or oversized t-shirts or like certain pants. So let me actually show you what I'm wearing right now. I mentioned shorts, and these, it's so hard to get up. I mentioned shorts, and I'm wearing these like, they're like ripped biker shorts. And so these are comfy, and these are not maternity. So yeah, having things like pieces like this that I can still wear after pregnancy is nice. And these are stretchy, so I hope they can fit me for the rest of the entire pregnancy. I'm actually wearing my husband's t-shirt right now, so that's why I'm saying like oversized t-shirts are a good thing for you to purchase. But so I'm gonna show you my bump just to show you guys, because I'm already standing up. This is my 32-week bump. So yeah, definitely a lot bigger than I was, you know, with the last recap video, the first trimester. I think you can really see a difference. But another question I received is, will I be breastfeeding? And yes, I will. I exclusively breastfed during my first 2 pregnancies, and I plan to do the same with this one. And as long as my body allows me to, I'm definitely going to exclusively breastfeed. Another question I received is, will I have a baby nursery, or if I have any themes? That is still something that I'm not sure about, because I noticed that with the first 2 pregnancies, it wasn't really necessary to have a nursery, because, you know, I co-sleep, I breastfeed, and it's just easier when the baby and I are in the same room. I'm still not sure if I should focus on that, because there's just so many things that are happening. You know, we just moved here, we bought a house. We're still trying to get settled in. We're still a lot more that we're doing. Like currently my husband is downstairs renovating the kitchen. He's adding a backsplash in our kitchen. So there's just a lot going on. The last question I have is, will your kids be at the home birth? And yes, of course, because, you know, it's going to be at home, and they definitely want to be included. And I'm very okay with that, because I think it's a beautiful experience, and I think it's going to be very emotional in a way for my girls to see, you know, the baby being born. A lot of people think it's like, especially in hospitals, they advise against it, but I think it's because in hospitals things are not as, you know, chill as they are, you know, when you have a birth at home, at least like for the most part. So I think it'll be like a sweet experience for the girls to see, and I'm just excited for that. So yeah, they will be there. My older daughter Jane, she tells me that if I'm going to labor overnight, to wake her up like immediately, like she wants to be there. She does not want to miss it. So yeah, they will be there at the birth for sure. So that is all I have for this video. I feel like it was so long, but if you're pregnant and you're watching, congrats, and let me know how many weeks you are. And also let me know any tips you have or any symptoms that you're experiencing currently, and just leave them down below, because I also love reading your tips and your suggestions, and just like anything that you may be going through, because it's nice when you know we're going through the same thing. So leave me any comments below. If there's something that I didn't answer, or you're curious about, or you would like for me to answer, you can also leave those questions down below. That is all. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're not. I'll see you guys all soon. Bye.